Hello and welcome, Dota fans, to episode 15 of FletchDota. Today is July 14th, 2014. It's actually my brother's birthday, and I sent him a message at midnight. Do I say last night or this morning? But at midnight, I sent him a text message telling him happy birthday. And I think I'm going to catch up with him again after the show. Hopefully that's a little bit later than when his wife gets home, because I'm sure they're going to probably celebrate with a dinner or something. But I'd like to catch up with him. I'll probably throw him a Steam game over on Steam, because I don't know, that's what we tend to do for holidays and birthdays now. It's like, instead of going to the store and everything, it's like, hey man, just chuck a Steam game at them with a nice easy Steam trade. But we are right smack dab in the middle of the International 4, and right now going on something I wish I could watch, but I made a commitment to continue doing this show during the International, and I'm beginning to doubt myself whether I should have done that, but I'm going to keep doing it because I said I would, so I might as well keep doing it. But IG versus, what was it? IG versus, I just totally blanked on who's playing right now. Let me actually scroll up on the page. IG versus, where's my page? I have a nice Dota page over here with like every single page of the International right now, because we have the entire weekend to get to. Today is Monday, of course, so the weekend recap will be coming up, and I've got literally like 100 pages going on right now. Here we go. Dota 2 TI. We are watching this one, IG versus Newbie. I wanted to say Newbie, but I started to doubt myself. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes it's like I have the right answer right there on the tip of my tongue, and I start to doubt, and it's like that doubt creeps in. I'm like, no, it can't be Newbie. And I don't want to say Newbie, but I knew it was Newbie, and it was Newbie. But we are right in the middle of IG and Newbie's final game in their best of 3 series. It is currently tied up 1-1, so very intense fighting, and that's of course to decide who goes on to the winners bracket, who goes on to the losers bracket. They are all in the main events at this point, but if you look, there's only going to be 4 teams in the main event winners bracket. The losers bracket's where everybody else is from those 8 teams, and that's so. After tomorrow, I believe we should have there's 4 that went on straight to the losers bracket. Then we're gonna have 2 more, so 6 people will be in the losers bracket after tomorrow, I believe. I will go over that here shortly. I do have all the schedules laid out in front of me. But first things first, let's go ahead and hit the prize pool for TI4. We are right smack dab on schedule with this prize pool growth. We are at $10.75 million. That's 3/4 of the way to $11 million. We are going to hit that $11 million before the main event is over. So I'm very excited about that. I want to say it was an 11 million event, and first place is now up to 4.944 or $4,944,934, which means when we hit 11 million, I haven't done the math, but we might be at 5 million with the first place prize, which is that magic 1 million apiece for the players. And then of course the organization takes their cut, the manager takes their cut, the coach takes their cut, everybody takes their cut from the pie, and then you know what's left over is that one big slice for the players. Along with that, every single team left in the tournament at this point, regardless of whether they win or lose after today, will be winning at least $500,000. 7th and 8th place, $510,000, 618. So very large prize pools for everybody remaining in this tournament. So I think that's why they took so seriously the group stages. You know, some people were like, oh man, the group stages were so harsh. These teams got eliminated right off the bat. They didn't even get to play winners bracket or losers bracket best of 3. That's because just by getting through the group stages, you're winning $500,000. And so you definitely have to earn it. And I think that's why our group stages were so harsh this year. On top of that, we already do have a few teams knocked out over the weekend. I'm just going to go ahead and every single team along with the prize pool. So first of all, 13th and 14th did finish up with Empire and Fnatic being the 13th and 14th place. They are, of course, the smallest placing on the chart. 15th and 16th did not win any money. 13th and 14th though each got 21,000 apiece, 21.5, and it might go up if we continue going closer to that 11 million mark. But Empire and Fnatic were the bottom 2 of the prize pool winners in that 13th and 14th spot. Next in line is Mouse Sports and Alliance, 11th and 12th place, getting a solid 37.6k apiece. On top of that, 9th and 10th, Titan and Team Liquid. Team Liquid making an excellent showing over the weekend and doing their best, but LGD just proved to be a little bit too strong. And now Team Liquid is, of course, sitting in that 10th place, $48.3 thousand, so almost a square $50,000 for their team. I mean, that's pretty much winning any other tournament throughout the year, except for the few big ones that we've had, the 100K and the 200K tournaments. Titan as well. So great job for those, especially Team Liquid. I don't think anybody expected Team Liquid to get as far as they did. I don't think anybody expected Team Liquid to get out of the wild cards. It's like, yeah, it was expected Team Liquid was in the wild cards. You know, Navi, US, and Team Liquid were supposed to move on. That's just how it was. But beyond that, nobody expected anything of either of those teams. And Navi US actually ended up not getting any prize pool along with Arrow coming in that 15th and 16th slot. So Team Liquid actually ending up in 10th place right behind Titan. Very, very strong showing by them. Kind of disappointed Titan's in 9th. You know, Southeast Asia, Titan was the only team from Southeast Asia that was actually invited. And they weren't even able to make it to the main event at this point. They did go out in the 9th place, so they won't be moving on to the losers bracket coming up. No, the winners bracket's actually tomorrow. So that's the placings right now. We've already given out over $100,000 to those teams that have already lost at this point. I mean, we haven't technically given it out, but you know, 50,000 apiece for 9th and 10th, 40,000 apiece for 11th and 12th, and 22,000 apiece for 13th and 14th. I mean, you're looking at almost $200,000 given out in prize pool just there if we just gave it to them today and said go on home. But of course, they do get to spectate and enjoy the main event. Then we'll give out all the awards at the end of the entire thing, I'm assuming. So on top of that, let me go ahead and hit day by day. We do start out with Saturday the 12th. Our standings for the day, we did wrap up the group stages, and so of course we did have a few matches there. The important ones, LGD versus Cloud9 and Newbie versus Navi. Cloud9 got beat by LGD, and this was important because this kept LGD from losing that one extra game that if they lost, they would have gone home with Alliance. They would have not been in a tiebreaker versus Newbie and Mouse Sports. So really big win for LGD over Navi. I mean, LGD over Cloud9, and then a really big win of Navi over Newbie. Newbie actually had to play in a tiebreaker to figure out if they would be moving on or not because they got that 8th loss from Navi. If they had not done that, Navi would have been the one playing in the tiebreaker. Navi ended up 8 and 7. That's how they were in the 5th place standing. And I'll actually hit the standings for you guys. So VG Gaming actually came in first, 12 and 3, followed by Evil Genius, 11 and 4. Both of those are going straight on to the winners bracket grand finals. Not grand finals, the winners bracket in the main event. They don't have to do the what's it called, bubble stages, I think is what people were calling it today and yesterday. Following up that in the number 3 spot is Team DK, followed by IG at 9 and 6, Navi at 8 and 7, Cloud9 at 8 and 7, Liquid at 8 and 7, Titan at 8 and 7. So that's your top 8 teams. Newbie, LGD, and Mouse Sports tied at 7-8. All did a tiebreaker. Mouse Sports was the one eliminated. Alliance ended up with that 9 losses. I told you guys, at 8 losses, you're already going to have to play a tiebreaker. That magic number 8. You need 8 wins. You don't want 8 losses. Well, Alliance went ahead and hit 9 losses. Were guaranteed to be eliminated, and they went straight on home. Actually, EG, this was one of the biggest matches of the day to end up the day in the final round. Series 30, Game 3, Evil Geniuses versus Alliance. And what a game from EG that we saw. Alliance struggling to stay in this tournament. And EG said, nope, no can do. You're going to have to spectate for the rest of the tournament. And people are upset, guys. People are really upset that the defending champions from last year, Alliance, they returned this year. They were defending their crown. They get eliminated in the group stages. And I've seen so many people raging at the tournament format. Oh, best of ones that lets weaker teams through. Well, how do you define a strong and weak team? I mean, yes, Alliance at one point was stronger than Liquid. This is, of course, you know, I asked someone specifically, I had a discussion today, and I said, well, if you wanted to put Alliance in the tournament, out of the teams in the top 10, who do you replace with Alliance? Who was Alliance stronger than? And they said Liquid. And I said, okay, Liquid went 8 and 7. So automatically, right off the bat, they won 2 more games in the entire group stages over Alliance. They also played against Alliance in a best of 1 and defeated Alliance in that best of 1. How is Alliance the stronger of those 2 teams? Yes, Alliance has shown strength. A couple weeks ago, we saw we saw them draft Nature's Prophet for Admiral Bulldog, something that I don't believe has happened this tournament. I think everyone just banned Nature's Prophet. They said, hey, Alliance knows how to use it again. We can't let Admiral Bulldog play Nature's Prophet. And unfortunately, that's all Alliance had. Beyond that, they weren't able to make the Lone Druid work effectively. We saw them try and run it several times, but they just struggled. And that's something Liquid didn't do. Liquid adjusted. All of these other teams that made it into the top 10 struggled, adjusted, and overcame the difficulties that they faced while playing Dota 2. And yes, Liquid was 2-0 by LGD, but I would point out that game 1 of that match was LGD doing a 75-minute Naga Siren, and I'm sorry, but I would turn off Dota 2 if I had to play a match like that. If I played 75 minutes of pub Dota 2 against a Naga Siren, after that game, you would see me click the close button on Dota 2. So I am not surprised that second game was an 11-minute GG. I think that more comes down to the experience and the mentality of Liquid, more so than the skill level of the actual team. I think they got really depressed with themselves after that loss. It's a very long time to be in a grueling, slow bleed Dota game. And yes, LGD came out stronger, but Liquid earned their number 7 spot to go into this. They earned those 8 wins and those 7 losses. And you know, you're right. If it was just a best of 1, if we were just talking a best of 1 between Alliance and Liquid, let's say Alliance and Liquid randomly scrim, and Alliance loses to Liquid 1-0, I would not say Liquid was the stronger team. You're right. A best of 1 does not mean anything. But 15 best of 1s starts to show a trend. And what we had trending for Alliance was a trend of weakness with no adjustment from the first day. And so they ended up 6-9 for a reason. They did not lose 9 times by some sort of chance. This is on Alliance. This is not on the format of the tournament. And on top of that, Liquid did a great job. Yes, they surprised everybody, and before the tournament, you wouldn't have thought Liquid was this strong. But if we're measuring strength, you've got to measure it based on results. And right now, Liquid showed us in 15 games, they won over half of those and put themselves solidly in the top 10. It's not like Liquid got into the top 10 through a tiebreaker like Newbie and LGD did. Liquid was solidly in there with only getting 7 losses. They were tied with Na'Vi and Titan and Cloud9. So great teams to be tied with, but definite strong showing by Liquid, and I don't want to take anything away from them by saying Alliance deserved a spot, because they didn't. They didn't perform, and so they deserved what they got. They deserved the spot they got, they deserved the losses they got, and they deserved the results they got. That's just how it runs to me. And I get some people are sad that Alliance is gone, but you know, you have to be sad at Alliance for their performance. You can't make excuses. People do the same thing in pubs, and if you make excuses, nobody improves. So yes, there might be some valid criticisms, but you can't blame the loss of a team on this tournament format, because every single team comes into this format knowing that these are best of 1s. It wasn't a surprise to anybody. And if you can't strategize for a best of 1, isn't that a weakness of your team? So doesn't that make you question your strength overall? At least in my opinion, it does. Now, on top of that, we go into the bracket. This is for Sunday the 13th, so this is yesterday's bracket. We started in the I believe what people are called bubble stages, where it was like one team would win and then move up, and one team would win and move up, and then the final team goes to the winner's bracket. Everyone else goes to the loser's bracket except for the first round gets eliminated. But we only have 8 people in the main event, and we had 10 people left over from the group stages. We had to get rid of 2. So first match of the day, Liquid versus LGD, and this is what I talked about. First match versus LGD. If I open up the scoreboard for you guys, let me see if I can put this full screen. It's going to be offset to the side, but you know what? It is what it is. Here's the scoreboard for you. Duration 27 minutes. Is this not what I'm looking for? This has got to be bugged, guys. This can't be what I was looking for. That's their Naga Siren game. It says their next one's 25 minutes, but the last one was supposed to be 11 minutes, wasn't it? Or am I looking at the wrong thing? I think the scoreboard's bugged. I wanted to use the scoreboard, but I must not be looking at the right thing, guys, because Liquid lost in 11 minutes, I'm pretty sure, in game 2. I don't think it went for 25 minutes. But, I wanted to show you guys the 75-minute Naga game. It had the right picks, I think, but the scoreboard was all messed up. But, of course, Liquid did come out over LGD. I'll just go ahead and throw this up on the screen. Is there an overview of the current bracket and results? Yes, there is, Rubisco, and I can actually direct you to that. But first, let me go ahead and show you guys... Oops, wrong button. There we go. Liquid versus LGD. Liquid did get eliminated and of course winning that $48,374. LGD went on to face Cloud9. That was a 2-1 victory by Cloud9, who went on to face DK. And DK did move on to the main event upper bracket. So there you have it. Cloud9 doing a great job beating out LGD and really proving themselves to be quite the strong team. They are not a fluke right now, which was, going into this, I have to say, I saw an interview with Sing Sing, and I think I brought it up on Friday that there was a Sing Sing interview. If you guys have not watched that, go watch the Sing Sing interview. It is the first time I have seen Sing Sing be serious. That is how serious this tournament is for them. Sing Sing's the guy that's always joking around. You ask him a question, and he answers either with like a kappa or some other irrelevant junk. It's not worth listening to a lot of times unless you just want some humor. But if you actually need some value from what he says, you're not going to find it in a Sing Sing interview. Not the case at TI4. He is very serious right now. He has his game face on, and it shows with his play. So very impressed by Cloud9 and their performance. They are in the losers bracket of the, should I call it losers bracket or lower bracket? It's the losers bracket, let's be honest. No need for niceties. They are in the lower bracket, though, of the main event. And DK, of course, taking that upper bracket spot. LGD and Cloud9 both sitting side by side in that lower bracket. Now, as for today's standings, Titans started out against Newbie. Got crushed by Newbie. Absolutely crushed. And goes home with 48,000. Same as Team Liquid. Newbie moved on. Played against Na'Vi. 2-0'd Na'Vi to send Na'Vi to the lower bracket. And now they're, of course, playing IG. Let's see if they finished up the IG match. They're actually playing that right now, which is unfortunate for me because many of you guys are actually still watching the IG match. It's a great match. I don't blame you guys. I want to finish watching it, but I got to do the show. So it is what it is. But IG and Newbie, they're playing in their third match. They were currently 1-1 when I last saw it, and the winner will, of course, go on to the main event. Now, on top of that, we do have the bracket for tomorrow will be Vici Gaming in match A and Evil Geniuses in match B. And if I understand correctly, Vici gets to choose their opponent because they came in first. So out of the people going into the winner's bracket from the two bubble stages, Vici gets to choose one and EG plays the other. So we don't know who they're going to play yet. And if you guys want to watch that, there's actually it's actually under their watch page. You can choose the 18th of Friday the 18th. So we've actually got 4 days in between with no international. We get a little bit of break before the Friday main event. But as to that, they actually added a button. It was really hard to find the complete tournament formats, but they've actually added a button recently right there under the watch bracket where you can go down right underneath. It says view complete format details, and it actually has the full format now. So it's really easy to find if you guys want to find that. But on top of that, I will throw over here, IG match is finished. All right, so we're getting it live. Who won between IG and Newbie? That's what I need to know. I would like to know. Maybe if I go to Team Liquid or Liquipedia, is it Liquipedia? Team Liquid, the international. Do I get to see? I want to see the main event. Phase 3. Here we go. Newbie actually 2-1's IG. So there it is live. We actually had our first live report here on the stream. That's kind of exciting. Newbie actually finishes up 2-1 against IG. Very strong third game. I kind of want to go back and watch it. I mean, it was really, really close when I finished watching it. It was still undecided who was going to be the winner. Now, on top of that, there was a recent patch, and we were actually talking about it in one of the caster channels on Skype. And people were asking, they were trying to talk about how the camera movement looks on the Dota 2 stream. They were saying, oh man, how's the stream so smooth when you click on the minimap, the camera moves? And somebody talked to Wepis, I believe, and they were talking about a camera-assisted camera operator command for your console. There is a whole set of commands that actually got added in the 30th of June patch, and Cyborg Matt does a great job of breaking it down. If you look on gamers.com in their 30th of June patch content analysis, they actually put a whole section called console command updates. So if you just do the Control F for the find and do console command updates, I'll go ahead and link you guys the article there for the full update. But they've got a whole list of new camera controls that are specifically made for TI4, and one of them is called the camera assisted camera operator. And I'm not entirely sure what all of these do. There's one for frame multiplier, bias, scale, blend, movement. I'm assuming blend is the transition between moving and not moving. So I guess you could call it the acceleration, multiplier on direction. Several little commands that they've added in there. So any of you guys who are into casting, there's a bunch of commands there to check out. I'm going to be playing with those over the next few days, trying to see if I can figure out what they exactly do. There's also some for mouse wheel delay, for scrolling in and out. I thought that was pretty cool. So a few new console commands for you to mess around with, and some of them are even related to instant replay. So just a quick little memo thing I thought I'd pop out there for everybody, because I didn't know about them, and I found out about them today. Now, along with the observers in-game, we've actually had some interesting camera circumstances happening out of game, or metagaming, as many would refer to it. Game FY, the premier streamer of Chinese Dota, released some video, and people are a little bit disturbed about what the video is. Some of you may have heard of this, some of you may have not. Over the weekend, it was DK discussing strategy following the EG matches. This was supposed to be in a private room between only DK players, and somehow Game FY was getting footage from this, or eavesdropping on these players. Now, Dr. Kleber is actually the 10-cent account. I believe it is, I'm trying to remember who this guy is. I can't remember who he is actually off the top of my head. I had it on me earlier and I've already forgotten. I should have taken a little note. But they actually wrote a full letter, like it's a protest letter about their attitude. Now, it's really interesting. I'm going to go ahead and throw you guys the letter. If you want to read the whole English letter, he actually wrote it originally in Chinese, but somebody was gracious enough. Either he had someone do it or someone did it and sent it to him, but there's the full English translation written by him about the entire event. And it's interesting to me because there was even the tweet coming out from Kelly Milkies. We are going to have metal detectors, no cameras anywhere in the player area because we don't want people betting, and we're going to be protecting all of the gamers and everything, and we don't want any loss of integrity. Yet here we have this Game FY staff member or affiliate. I'm not even sure what to call them because I'm not quite sure that it's been released who exactly did this. But somebody was in the DK private playing area, which nobody but DK players should be in, filming them and releasing private information from their team and intimate team discussions that are supposed to be extremely game related. So these could be game breaking strategies against DK that you're hearing. What their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, what they're planning coming up against EG. That's an advantage that other teams don't have, except against DK. And you have this happening. So I'm going to be curious to see how Valve responds to this. Now, at this point, is it Game FY that's behind it? We've certainly seen many rumors circulating around that many of these Chinese organizations have something against DK, whether it's that they're not a pure Chinese team or whether it's how DK, the organization, treats other organizations is not 100% certain. That's up for speculation. But it depends, I guess. What it comes down to on me is, do you blame Game FY or do you blame the individual who actually filmed it? And depending on who Valve blames depends on who gets banned from this event, I think, at this point. If they do blame Game FY and there aren't harsh consequences, then that's going to be uncharacteristic of Valve, who traditionally has taken a very strong stance regardless of your sponsorship level or amount of money you contribute. I think that's largely due to the fact that Valve has Steam standing behind them, and money stopped being an issue a long time ago for most of that company. But Game FY, for those of you curious a little bit more about that, there was actually a really good interview done with Ice, and he talks about it a little bit. The most interesting thing. Now, one thing I really respect about Ice is how well he handles this. He doesn't come out and stir up flames. He doesn't try and spread more rumors, say, I'm going to do something terrible to Game FY. He says it's unfortunate what happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm surprised an organization like Game FY could let this happen. He doesn't specifically blame Game FY, but he says it's unprofessional that it was allowed to happen, which says, they should have stopped it, but I'm not going to specifically blame them for it happening. So very professional answer by him, I think, as well as a few other things he talks about. Most specifically, he's going to send Puppy to beat up whoever's responsible. So if y'all want to check out the Ice 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 interview, very good interview done by Cyborg Matt from On Gamers. And as always, this interview specifically is going to be a little bit longer. It is about 14 minutes long. So you might want to skim through it, or you might want to watch the whole thing. I actually watched the whole thing, and it was enjoyable. But of course, if you check my compendium, who do you see? Ice Ice Ice, favorite player. So how can you expect me not to watch the entire Ice 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 interview? On the lines of DK, I actually have some interesting news. And it's not really news. I think people have kind of been hearing things. But there was actually a video put out about LANM retiring for DK after TI4. And the big thing here is this another publicity stunt? Because didn't Burning say the same thing after TI3? I'm retiring after TI3. It just makes me wonder, is this just something to grab people's attention on you and be the focus during such a large event? And I can't help but feel it is. But at the same time, only time will tell. Will LANM actually step down after this event? Has gaming really taken its toll? Is he really done? Or does he long for that spotlight once more after he gets out of TI4? We will have to wait and see, and I think it might come down to their performance as well. I think if DK performs poorly for the rest of the tournament, he might be demotivated enough to really leave it behind. But if they win, well, then at that point, you have to question, is the motivation from winning and being right on the top and wanting to defend your title bigger than saying, I have enough money and I'm done? You know, you got to balance the issues. So there's probably a stage where those are actually balanced out, and maybe no amount of money will really quell that competitive thirst that these players have at this high level. But we will have to see. Does LANM really retire? I am not sure, guys, but I hope he doesn't, because he's a great player and it's always a joy to watch him play. Now, along with these interviews, we've had quite a bit of interviews that I want to get to for you guys along with this event. And something that I saw on YouTube that was actually really well done. For those of you who haven't been able to watch all of the interviews, but you want to catch some of the funny moments that I've kind of been mentioning here or there, somebody put together a YouTube video where all it is a bunch of the funny clips put together. It's about 5 minutes long. It covers a bunch of the interviews. I know it's got the, most specifically, it's got the demon part I talked about. Who was it talking about demon? I think it may have been Bulba that was being interviewed, getting talked about demon. And he tried to get Koikwa in there. But they do have that part in there. They got a few other funny parts that are definitely a joy to watch. So if you want to get a brief glimpse of several of the interviews, certainly check that out. Just 5 minutes long, really easy to watch. Now on top of that, Matchmaking Episode 6 was released by FletchDota. And this is the one we were waiting for. It is Shiver and Admiral Bulldog. I am not going to spoil this one at all, even though I spoil everything else I talk about. But this one, of course, we've all been waiting for it. They finally did it. They managed to catch Shiver. They managed to catch Admiral Bulldog. And they did a matchmaking episode. For those of you unfamiliar, we've been covering these matchmaking episodes as they come out. It is, of course, you ask one player a certain amount of questions. They answer them. And then the other person has to see if they can answer the same answer. So they might say, Fletch, what's your favorite hero? And I might go, Venomancer. And then they'll ask, somebody that's supposed to know me what my favorite hero is, and they'll be like, oh, Crystal Maiden, and then they'll be like, wrong, it was Venomancer, and then everyone will be like, oh, you got it wrong. Well, Shiver Admiral Bulldog this time, matchmaking episode 6. Go ahead and throw that into the channel for you. And I gotta say, it was pretty hilarious to see, mostly because of Admiral Bulldog's answer. I'm sorry, that guy is broken. He is absolutely broken. But beyond that, I won't say more. This guy, I'm sorry, I gotta say a little bit more. You don't want to go on a date with Admiral Bulldog. You don't want to go on a date with Admiral Bulldog. Not after that. Along with those interviews, though, we do have, of course, there was a couple more interviews I wanted to bring to you guys. Great interview done by Zoe of Join Dota. EG beats Alliance, Zai counters accusations. Really well done. It was nice to hear Zai weigh in on the different strategy ideas that they got, most specifically picking Omniknight. He talked about the strength of Omniknight, the strength of their draft, how it was to play against Alliance, and even knocking them out, though they're sister companies. Those of you who don't know, EG and Alliance share the EG brand. Alliance is like a European version of EG. It's all under the EG branch, so they are sister companies. But people were kind of thinking EG was trying to throw against Alliance to let them in the tournament, and that was not the case. EG actually beat them out. So anybody who had those ideas in their head, nope. Omni Knight was a legitimate draft idea, and Zai goes over his strengths and what made them be strong in the game, or what their ideas were. So great to hear from Zai, even though, oops, it didn't actually link that properly. Let me go ahead and give you guys the YouTube video link, because get a little bit of Join Dota music there in the background. But there's the YouTube video link instead of the Join Dota article. Really well done. Zoe's doing a great job catching these interviews. They're asking awesome questions. Zoe and Hotbid both. They have been putting out some amazing interviews all TI4 long. And I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Since TI1, you get all of these big name players in one area, and there have been so many disappointing interviews where they catch a player, you get valuable time with somebody that people don't hear from often, and you waste it. But these guys have been doing such an excellent job asking important questions, and of course they've been goofing around with them too, because you want the interviews to be fun and lively and entertaining. But they've also asked some important questions and got some important information out there that you wouldn't otherwise get. So great job both to Join Dota. And is Hotbid actually affiliated with anybody? I actually don't know. I'm actually quickly Google and see what comes up. Hotbid Dota. Let's see what pops up. Is he affiliated with Liquid Dota? He might be. Team Liquid. Yeah, so Hotbid's actually affiliated with Team Liquid. So great job from Team Liquid and Join Dota. I've actually told you guys I've been using Liquid Dota quite a bit. I always check it daily to see if there's new articles coming out from them. I use them for all of the team articles. Those were actually my favorite go-to team articles for reading up on the teams before the tournament. But great job both Join Dota and Team Liquid putting out these amazing interviews all TI4 long. Now there was also a matchmaking episode. I talked about episode 6 between Zoe and... I'm sorry, not Zoe. She did the interview, of course, for matchmaking. But between Admiral Bulldog and Sheever, on top of that, episode 5 came out, Demon and Fear. And I'll try and link the Join Dota article. But there you guys go. Yep, Join Dota actually linked. And that's Demon and Fear matchmaking episode 5. And I'm sorry, but I don't think they're compatible. But at the same time, my favorite part of this was watching, like, when you talk about Demon's throws, the amount of specific throws that these guys can bring up. Like if you say, what was the most memorable Demon throw? And they're naming like pinpoint instances at specific events. It's like, holy crap, how memorable is this guy? Like if you're on a team with him, you remember exactly when he throws. And like Fear was there in the voice chat with him, like, Jimmy, why are you doing that? And we even heard, I think it was Bulba, talking about him going, he's like, sometimes you're like, you're like, Jimmy, what's going on? You're playing so amazing. And then other times you're like, Jimmy, why are you on that side of the map? And then everyone's like, classic Jimmy. And he was even talking about him one of the days being, oh man, Jimmy, what are you doing? And he's like, it's my birthday, relax, let me have some fun. It's like, that's not a valid answer in the middle of a tournament, but that's Dota Demon, aka Pegasus, for you guys. You know, I watched the Starladder TV interview with Gabe Newell today. And I was like, oh, a Gabe Newell interview. That's kind of exciting. But I'll be honest, she didn't ask very good questions. But if you want to see Gabe Newell here before TI4, how he's doing, he does answer some stuff, but it was mostly about Valve. That's why I was so disappointed. She asked him about Valve rather than really about the tournament. I wish she would have asked him more about Dota 2, but it was a Valve interview. But it's kind of the known stuff. If you've read the Valve employee handbook, he basically said what's inside that. So nothing really new, but there is a nice little interview. If you want to catch Gabe Newell, I'll just go ahead and throw it at you guys. But I'll tell you the truth. It was kind of a disappointment. It's really short though, about a minute long. So, on top of that, Team Liquid, of course, tweeting out, thanks everybody for the support. Keep cheering for us. We'll be back at TI5. There was a nice little tweet that came out from Evil Geniuses over the weekend. We'll save the jokes for later. We were impressed by your boys at this event. We'll win this TI4 for you. Team Liquid Pro, bleed both blues. So, really good sportsmanship between the North American teams. EG being very serious going into this. We want a NA title for TI4. I think that's more important than anything else at winning at this. Is North America's never been a contender. And we had 2 teams make it through the group stages. And then we have 1 team still contending for that top spot. I mean, this is really big for North American Dota. We haven't been this big in the Dota scene before. And that's exciting for me. And I'm sure it's exciting for many of you other North American Dota players. On top of that, nice little, as always, I like to do a community spotlight, especially on the weekend recap. Because it's Monday. We want to relax on Mondays. We want to relax on Fridays. Let's just relax every day of the week. But Mondays, especially, you just had a weekend. You're not ready to get back into your week mood. There's a nice little spin cup that somebody made. They called it a stein, of course. But I'm pretty sure that's just like the English word for mug. Coffee mug, because that's what it looks like. But I'll go ahead and throw this up on the screen. There's a cool little Sven stein that someone made. I thought this looked really awesome. I mean, the style just fits Sven 100%, especially the handle. I think the handle really sells this. Woo, that's actually really big when I zoom in. But great little Sven stein that somebody made, and they posted it up on Imager by Soylent Persons. That's actually a play on Soylent Greens. For those of you who don't know what that is, I commend you, because that movie was awful. You don't want to watch Soylent Green. But now you're probably all going to go out there and Google Soylent Green. No, don't do it. You don't want Soylent Green. But his name is, of course, Soylent Persons. But great little Sven cup. And I'll throw that out there if you guys want to look at more pictures of it. There's the Sven stein that was made by a Dota 2 fan. And he did a great job on it. I don't know exactly what it's made out of. Probably clay and then baked, I guess. On with the TI4 news, though. We actually had a tweet come out. That was the caster schedule for the remaining TI4 games. And I just want to say how excited I am. If you asked me 4 people that I would want in TI4, I would say LD, Lumi, Synderen, and Toby. And I would say just mix them up. Let them all cast together. All 4 of them even in one cast. It doesn't matter. Main event upper bracket, Day 1 Series 1, LD and Lumi. Day 1 Series 1, Toby and Synderen. Day 1 Series 2, LD and Synderen. Grand Final, Toby and Lumi. It is 100% mixed match between those 4 casters. And I really hope they didn't release the stage for this. But I really hope this is James Too Good Harding. Because if it's not, I told you guys how sad I was when I turned in Day 1 and he wasn't there yet. And y'all are like, don't worry, he'll be there. And he's been gonna be there. But I love him at the desk. As the Dota personality goes, I think he is the strongest Dota personality. I love that guy. And his little quips at the analysis desk. I love listening to him. And like what he's got going right now, the caster MMR or the desk MMR, where they're all betting MMR and they're like losing MMR. I think Shiver's actually the highest MMR among them right now, or she was the last I watched. But along with that, the newcomer stream will be going on during the grand finals and main event. And along with that, I see a little farewell tweet from him. Not being asked to do the main event this year is a big disappointment, but Toby, Sind, LD, Lumi will do awesome. And so going out in style, I see. As well as Baskip will not be there for the main event. They will be spectators, which means they get to go give you guys autographs. If you're a big fan of them, look for them in the crowd because that's where they will be. Hopefully you've got those VIP passes so you can even go up there and like sit on the desk while Toby's casting and just look him in the eyes and see if you can distract him. Kind of like people do with the palace guards for the Queen. The Queen of England in the Royal Palace. Is it called the Royal Palace? I'm not sure what they call it. I'll call it the Royal Palace. But at the Royal Palace, they got those guards standing out with the big fluffy Marge hair hats. And you just stand in front of them, make faces at them, and try and get them to blink or something. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually been to England. I've just seen it on TV, so it's got to be true, right? TI4 stats, though, have been coming out. Most notably on Liquid Dota. I've talked about my go-to source, Liquid Dota, how I love stopping by them for all sorts of information. K-Pop-Tosis put out a stat sheet for the entire group stages. So I'm going to go quickly through those. We've got a good amount of time, actually, so I don't have to be all that quick going through it. Most relevant heroes, highest pick ban percent. So he even has a fancy little name for the highest pick ban. Instead of just saying highest pick ban like I would, he actually calls them most relevant heroes. So great job, K-Pop-Tosis, with your word choice. 97.7% Lycan pick ban percent, 91.5% Doom, 89.9% Razor, followed by Brewmaster, who's tied up with him, and 71.3% Faceless Void. Now, most picked in total, Razor, Skywrath Mage, Shadow Shaman, or Shadow Shaman as James would call it, Mirana sitting at 61, Doombringer sitting at 46 games, and then Tide Hunter. Most banned, like in 108 games. And how many games do we have? Like 129, I think. Something like that? It wasn't quite 130. Lycan banned 108 times, 75 times Brewmaster, 72 times Doombringer, 67 times Tinker, and 55 times Faceless Void. Most successful with a minimum of 10 games, 71% win rate on Weaver with 13 games, followed by Lycan with 67%, Alchemist 63%, Enigma 62%, and Shadow Demon at 61%. I'm actually most surprised out of all these heroes by the Enigma, because Enigma has really struggled as a hero for quite some time, especially, I want to say, since Silencer was released into the pool. And it's been a struggle to get Enigma into the game. And I want to attribute this in large part due to the no mana cost of Blink Daggers. I think, and also, I guess the other part of it is the changes to his ultimate, as well as his Midnight Pulse. Those have brought him back into the game, and I'm excited because there is nothing more exciting in Dota 2 than hearing Toby1 yell Black Hole. And he has gotten a chance all group stages. There is 23 and 14, what is that? 37 games that he got to, that's what, a fourth? Or a third? In between a fourth and a third. So we'll call it a 2/5? Is that fair? 2/5? Yeah, we'll call it 2/5. 2/5 of the games. Enigma for Toby1. Least successful, minimum of 10 games. Lion, 25% win rate. Venomancer sitting at 33%. Lich sitting at 35%. Bane sitting at 36%. And Faceless Void sitting at 38%. Now this is also another interesting hero for me, Bane. Shadow Demon enjoys a 61% win rate, and in the same role is Bane, who's sitting at 36%. I've always felt like Bane filled the same niche, only did it stronger than Shadow Demon. But the statistics among the pro players say that no, Shadow Demon actually performs better, even though it is a riskier setup for the skill shot stuns. So along with that, I guess in large part it's due to Bane's ultimate requiring the positioning that it does, and Bane's just struggle to get into those blink daggers that they need. But Shadow Demons coming out on top, 61% win rate to the 36% win rate of Bane. So I guess I have to take it back. Shadow Demon's better. I'm sorry, guys. I've been lying to you all this time. Heroes picked in the whole tournament. We've had 92 heroes picked. There are actually 10 heroes that have not been picked, to include Crystal Maiden, Lina, Huskar, Bounty Hunter, Night Stalker, Keeper of the Light, Phantom Lancer, Bloodsuka, Slardar, and Spirit Breaker. Now among these, I want to say the one I'm most surprised by is that Phantom Lancer hasn't been picked up, because I know Luo specifically, or XI, how do you pronounce that? Is she? Or Z? I'm not entirely sure. Luo loves to play a very aggressive Phantom Lancer, and they've enjoyed a lot of success with it as well. So I'm really surprised we haven't seen Phantom Lancer pop up at least once, but we still got the main event, and I want to wait and see if any of these pop up during the main event. I want to say there's 3 heroes out of these that I think we will see throughout this tournament that we haven't seen yet. And the ones I'm going to say, I'm going to say 4. I think we're going to see at least one Bloodseeker. There's got to be some Slaughters that pop up. Phantom Lancer and Coddle. Lina and Crystal Maiden, I think, are going to get left out. Lina, as much attack range as you give her, still has the wind up of a softball pitcher. She wants to twirl her arms around. Okay, guys, I'm going to throw. Whoop. And then you accidentally move and mess it all up, and you got to start all over again. I hate playing Lina because of that. Now, Crystal Maiden, of course, has been nerfed into the ground. She's just too stupid to play Dota 2. Dota 2 requires some intelligence, and Crystal Maiden just doesn't have it. Not anymore. Night Stalker might come back, and I'm actually surprised we haven't seen him come back sooner than this, mainly because of the heroes that are going mid now are heroes that you traditionally would see Night Stalkers against, and I think it's in large part due to his mid game. His mid game isn't quite as oriented around team fights, I think, as some of these other heroes we're seeing mid. And, he's mostly, it feels like he's a lot more gank oriented. And although that's nice, you really need the big team fight presence that some of these other heroes bring that Night Stalker just doesn't quite bring to that table. Now, if things do shift up in somebody's lineup where they decide to run that more gank heavy lineup to shut down maybe a Naga Siren, maybe we'll see Night Stalker pop out, or maybe there's just a really good matchup and a player that enjoys playing Night Stalker. So we'll have to wait and see. We might see him as well. I don't think we'll see Bounty Hunter or Huskar, and I don't think we'll see Spirit Breaker, as much as that breaks my heart. I'm sorry, Spirit Breaker is just a stupid hero. There's no reason to pick Spirit Breaker. Don't pick him, guys. Leave him out of the game. He doesn't belong in Dota 2. Of course, I have like a 90% win rate with Spirit Breaker, but I'm one of those scrubs that picks him occasionally. But still, stupid hero, shouldn't be picked. Player statistics. We actually have individual player statistic. Most kills per game for Ferrari430 with 8.9. That guy has been on fire this entire game ever since we saw him show up in the solo mid tournament. Go into the grand finals of that. He has just been lighting it up in that mid lane. And people have been letting him pick heroes you normally don't give Ferrari, and they've been paying for it. Most notably his Brewmaster, his Ember Spirit. I don't think I've seen him on Invoker. I mean, I'm sure he's played Invoker, but I don't think I caught the game. Maybe he hasn't played Invoker this tournament in the group stages yet. I don't know. But I haven't seen him playing Invoker if he has. And of course, that's one of his other notable heroes. It's like 3 things you don't get Ferrari. Invoker, Ember Spirit, Brewmaster. And he's been getting Ember Spirit and Brewmaster quite a bit. Most hero damage per game, Ferrari430. That goes along with the most kills. I'm not surprised. Most tower damage per game, Sylar. Most assists per game, ROTK with 12.7 assists. Most deaths per game, Sylar with 2.0. No, I'm sorry. I was about to say, I was like, how is that possible? Most is 2.0? No, that was least deaths per game, Sylar. Okay, good job, Sylar. Highest GPM per game, Sylar again with 567. Highest experience per minute per game, Arteezy averaging out at 546. Most runes per game, Mushi with 5.4. Most efficient laner. Highest last hits at 15 minutes per game, Koikwa with averaging out at 87. This guy farms so hard for Team Liquid. I'm always amazed at what he's able to get, especially when you see his Shadow Fiend. That guy just finds the last hits out of nowhere. Most deaths per game, always want to fly at 7.1 for Team Empire, just feeding away and not even caring. Divide, always want to fly. Most damage taken per game is Silent, again on Team Empire, so they wrap that one up solidly for their team. Teamfight contribution, average heroes involved per kill, Vici Gaming. And this is very important to note. We talked about being oriented around these team fights, and maybe that's why Night Stalker hasn't been picked up. Vici Gaming, 3.35 average heroes involved per kill. So every single kill for Vici is basically a team effort. Almost. They're almost at 4 heroes and basically 5's a full team. They're holding at 3.35. So for every 5-man gank, they might have 2 5-man ganks and a 1-man gank. That's pretty good for Vici. They're showing that team fight is where it's at right now. They certainly came out in that first position after the group stages. Some fun facts to follow it up from K-Poptosis though. Aggro tri-lanes were only used 24% of the time with a win rate of 43%. So aggro tri-lanes not being that successful this tournament. Teams had supports as dedicated roamers in 29% of the games with a 57% win rate. Side win rate, 65 to 64 Radiant. So only 1 game difference at the end. And that is 129 total games. Radiant just barely taking the advantage. So that's like 50.1% or something stupid like that. So that Radiant advantage that we've been seeing where everyone's like, oh, there's a huge Radiant advantage is imbalanced. Only 1 game difference for Radiants at the end of the group stages. First pick win rate was actually 53%. So not too different between first and second pick. It was 68 to 61. Only 7 game difference. Now, along with the Radiant advantage, Dota.2p.com released a pretty cool article, Radiant versus Dire, where they actually talk about the Radiant versus Dire win rate. And they talked about how the Radiant win rate overall was greater, but the teams that came in first and second and third, if you looked at their win rate with Radiant versus Dire, those top teams actually had a higher win rate on Dire over Radiant. For example, Vici Gaming had a 3-2 record on Radiant, a 9-1 record on Dire. EG had a 1-4 record on Radiant, a 10-0 record on Dire. EG was undefeated on Dire. So even though overall there might be a disparity between Radiant and Dire in the win rates, EG actually prefers playing on Dire, and they actually discuss that. So it's a pretty cool article where they talk about the different heroes and the strategies, most notably with the Dire advantage, how a team like EG likes to take things into late game, and that involves a lot of Dire fights. So they talked about that, as well as some of the rotations and the jungling that teams like to do. So pretty cool little article coming out from Dota 2p, or Dota.2p.com, as they always do. Another great article from them. I'm always impressed by what I see from them. Now, as a kind of finishing remark, I want to go ahead and cover all of the things that have come out, just all the videos like I've been doing for the news site for Dota2.com. We got an interview with It looks like No Tail and Demon or Pegasus. I'm gonna have trouble. I don't want to call him Pegasus. I want to call him Demon. I've known him as Demon for so long. Hotbit interview with Suns fan. A Hotbit interview with Purge, EGM and Blitz, Gods. So if you want to hear a bunch of caster interviews, Hotbit did a bunch of caster interviews. Did an interview with Eternal Envy, as well as Merlini. I went over the matchmaking episodes. We've got How Hotbid, No Tail with Hotbid, Universe with Hotbid, Bruno with Hotbid, and did I get to the Sing Sing interview on Friday? Guys, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys this. I got to pause this before. Let's go to YouTube. And I got to pause it again before this music just fills you guys up. But here's the actual YouTube interview. Guys, this is a very good interview with Sing Sing. I have never seen him so serious in an interview, and he gives you some really insightful answers. So if you have to watch anything, if you only want to watch one interview, I definitely recommend the Sing Sing interview done by Own Gamers. It is a Cyborg Matt Sing Sing interview. Cyborg Matt's another person. I think I did shout outs to Zoe and Hotbid. Cyborg Matt's done some great interviews as well. He's the one that did the Ice 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 interview earlier. But this Sing Sing interview is some top tier content. It is not the normal trolly Sing Sing that you are used to seeing. He is very serious at the tournament. And I think Cloud9's results show that. They are not the traditional jokey, trolly team that you think of them as. They are 100% dedicated to winning this tournament, and they are doing a great job of it. So that's the last thing I kind of have to get for you guys for this weekend review. This is, of course, episode 15 of FletchDota. I will be wrapping up the news segment shortly, and then we'll be getting into the viewer interaction section of the show where I play a game of Dota and talk to you guys. That's the greatest way to give me feedback. If you're able to watch the show live and then stick around afterwards, you can talk to me, say some stuff. Hey, I think this should be done. Hey, I think this shouldn't be done. If you spot some news articles, of course, I'd always like to hear from you guys. The easiest way is to get in touch with me. Twitter at FletchDota, twitter.com/FletchDota. That is my Twitter handle. Tweet at me. I read those notifications. So if you want to say something to me, whether good or bad, if it's just some criticism or maybe a little bit of praise, any of that, I'd love to hear that. If you see something that should be on the show, in your opinion, feel free to throw it at me with the article. I'll certainly read it before tomorrow night's show or whichever night you happen to send it to me before. Even if you send it to me over the weekend, I'll try and keep it saved for the Monday episode. So feel free to throw this stuff at me through Twitter. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MasterFletch. That's to see the show live or whenever I'm live. I do some mini gaming on my own. Occasionally, I haven't had much time to do that lately, but I do that as well as tournament casting that I'm trying to start up on my stream. That's going to kind of be quiet until after TI4 is over. But after TI4, I'm hoping to get my Twitch channel sponsored so that I can go ahead and start doing tournament casting more full time. As well as you can always email me questions, comments, concerns, masterfletch@gmail.com. Another great way to get in touch with me. I do read all my email, assuming you don't do something that gets it thrown in the spam folder. I check my spam folder, but only occasionally. I don't check it every day like I check everything else. So those are the three best ways to get in touch with me. Twitch, Twitter, masterfletch@gmail.com. As always, thank you all for watching. This has been FletchDota episode 15, July 14th, 2014. And of course, we will be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, every single weeknight, Monday through Friday. This has been your episode of FletchDota, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.